Rules not to follow about stay motivated as an entrepreneur, 3 tips to stay focused. As an entrepreneur, there will undoubtedly be times in your career when you feel pressured, overloaded, and even burned out. At these times, it can be challenging to maintain the motivation to complete the work, which is why I am going to share with you the 3 tips in this video. We jump in as realizing that a lot of the challenges you'll face as an entrepreneur are going to be psychological. They're going to be up here. They're going to be challenges that cause you to overestimate the value of deals. The biggest thing and the biggest lesson I can share with you that I've learned over the past year is that when I'm demotivated and don't feel like I'm motivated to do the work, it's because it's all in my head, something that I'm telling myself like I'm not motivated. So guess what? You stay demotivated. What you need to say is, okay, what's the solution to this problem? How do I fix it? I want to go over the 3 ways to stay motivated, and we'll go through them one at a time. The first is to recognize that there will be times when you feel burned out and overwhelmed, and the last thing you want to do is work on your business. However, you want to recognize that this is normal because, at the end of the day, we rarely see people share this kind of information. By the way, if you want to learn how I make money from home with zero experience, click the link in the comment sections. I will guide you step by step throughout the process. It is easy to follow and it is learnable. Let's go. Personally attest to this because when I first started out in internet marketing and worrying all this, when I look at them on social media, I've come to the conclusion that most people are only presenting you with their best moments and the cool places they go. I believe that I have more value to offer than that, so I want you to understand that many of the people you may be following may be giving you a glimpse into a problem, but what you must also understand is that they are likely experiencing stress and other problems similar to these, which most people don't discuss. However, I have noticed a trend in entrepreneurship where people are sharing more than just their feelings and their struggles. I want you to understand that there are going to be a lot of times you're going to get rejected, you're going to be frustrated because maybe a business deal falls through, and it's just because they realize that being real, authentic, and raw is much more attractive than trying to make it look like you're this perfect person, because we all know that there's no such thing right now. There will be instances when you literally think something is going to work and then all of a sudden it simply doesn't work out the way you wanted it to. When this happens, you'll experience extreme exhaustion and overwhelm. You need to understand that the feelings you are experiencing are fleeting. I can't recall where I learned this rule, but it was something that basically the guy said, at the end of the day, you can't ride this emotional roller coaster. You can't have these extreme highs and extreme lows. I can tell you right now that if I make, say, $10,000 in a day, I'm right here. If I lose money, I'm right there. It's an attitude you have to acquire, and the reason I did this was that I used to get incredibly ecstatic, fired up, and ready to work at 5 a.m., only for things to abruptly stop working. I lost money and assumed I must have been lucky or something, but I learned you can't ride this emotional roller coaster. You're never going to be happy, not only in business but in life. So this guy had this rule where basically he allows himself 1 hour to be irate, sad, or frustrated. Then you have to move on, which I thought was really great because I could just be really angry for about an hour, get it out of my system, and then resume working. Nowadays, however, I don't even really get like angry for that long. There are times when, to be honest, I get frustrated and stressed out, but that only lasts for about 10 to 15 minutes. Pull it together, will we? Let's consider how to solve our difficulties, then let's return to the topic at hand. My final suggestion is to practice meditation. Some people won't want to do this because they'll think it's all woo, but I can assure you that meditation has really benefited my life and helped me with a variety of issues, including sadness and anxiety. You know, at the end of the day there's a reason they say that personality growth is like cleaning your teeth. You should do it every day. The meditation is the same thing, somewhat like thing you got to realize is that, like say when you're stressed out, why you're frustrated, right? A lot of times that's because you're thinking in the future, which is when things don't go well. This happens when meditation seems to be very important. You're anxious. Depression results from dwelling on the past. So if you're beating yourself up over events from a month or 6 years ago, as many people do, you're probably doing it to yourself. Anxiety results from worrying about hypothetical scenarios, such as what if I do this and I lose money. Meditation really helps with anxiety because it reduces worry. Even if the actions you take today will lead to your new future, when you're always thinking about the future, you're making scenarios in your head. By centering yourself, You may stay in the present now. Remember what I mentioned earlier? A lot of the time, my issues were all in my head since I was making up problems that weren't even real. Afterward, I'd feel overwhelmed and agitated. I strongly advise you to look into meditation, and there are a ton of different techniques you can use to do it. Just type in how to do meditation on YouTube and you'll find everything from Tony Robbins' method to other people's. It really makes no difference because the main goal is to learn to focus in the present moment rather than the past or the future. Making a thorough list of your motivations for starting a business is tip number 2 in staying motivated. You know, this is something I find to be really, really important because there are going to be a lot of times when you don't really feel like working. In fact, I think there will be both good and bad times. I'm a big proponent of Stoicism, which basically states that life is about suffering, and that's something you need to accept. How much money do you want to make in a year, a month, and let's just say you know you want to make $1 million a year. You could perhaps know how much that comes out to be, so you need to consider making a month. You should know how to that however much you need to make a day, because if you don't know things very clearly you're probably never going to reach the goal. It is only one of those things you're going to shoot for, like I want to make money. You're just quoting this figure because you believe that's what being wealthy entails, but you also need to explain why this is important to you and why you're taking this action. For example, are you doing it because you want to drive a nice car, gain notoriety by being seen as successful, or for your family to look up to you? I did it for my family because I wanted to support them. Every single time I wanted to give up, I kept telling myself, I want to be able to help my family. I want to be able to give them a better life. I want to be capable of making a difference on their life. For you, having a good family could be your children, or, if you're young, your desire to travel the world or own a supercar. It doesn't matter if this is something more extravagant, the point is that you want to be able to help your family. The point is to make a very, very detailed list of what exactly you're building a business for, even if someone tells you that you shouldn't be focused on owning a Ferrari or a mansion, because at the end of the day, this is your life you're living and you have to really decide that you're still doing what you're doing. If you can't declare why you're doing what you're doing in detail, you're probably never going to get it. Create a vision for your life, which is tip number 3 on how to stay motivated. While different people may go about this differently, I personally appreciate constructing vision boards. The next piece of advice for staying motivated is to develop a life vision. Different people approach this in different ways. For example, some people are big on making vision boards. It's kind of like suggestion number 2 up here, where you develop a detailed list of why you're building a business. But here's the thing. I prefer to make a list that I read every single day. The second item is more along the lines of why you're doing it properly, but a vision is far more expansive than a why. Many people stress the need of understanding your motivations, which I briefly touched on in item number 2. I would also be grateful if you could subscribe to my channel and like, comment, and share my video with others. Thank you for your support.